Announcing the commencement of the first purge.
I want you to change the world, and don't think that this is going to happen peacefully or you can do it alone. We need to kill the rich. You get out there, you use your weapons, and you rip Washington apart. You hunt down the billionaires, the bank bosses, the CEOs, the scumbags, and the liars, the governors, the lobbyists, the senators, because they're all the same, and you hang them.
Just remember all the good the purge does.
Good morning, everyone. It is August 13th, 2018. I'm Eric. How's everyone doing? I hope you're doing well. I'm here at DC Clothesline. I'm going to hit some of these headlines and then focus on one piece in particular. Before I get started, I haven't been making videos for a couple of reasons, but one of the main reasons, or the main reason, is because I'm getting ready to switch over formats. I've been working on a script for the new format and gathering screenshots and all that kind of stuff. So what I'm going to be doing here is I'll continue to make videos, but I'm going to do live streams Sunday night, Tuesday night, and Thursday night, which will cover all the news items, and my other videos will focus on a specific topic, from statists or statism to you name it, okay? And I could still use your help. Give me a thumbs up, a share, a subscribe. And if I'm worthy of your spare dollars, my PayPal link is in the description box below. Let's get started. California State Senate passes euthanasia bill that legalizes encouraging assisted suicides. This is the second time I tried doing this video because there was a loud noise and I had to start over. But as I said in that one, it would not be surprising to me if they have this bill to take care of the homeless problem out there. Now, these homeless people, they are human beings. However, they spend their days littering up the streets and injecting heroin and fentanyl into their veins. Now, California is quickly becoming third world, and if they don't stop it, it is going to be a third world shithole, and many places out there already are. But you know, everywhere you look out there, there's fucking trash. And if you look across the United States, it's getting to be that way in most places. This place I live in, Spartanburg, South Carolina, used to be a fairly clean, decent city. But as the population has grown, and it's growing quickly, it's become more and more miserable to live here. There's more and more trash being thrown on the side of the roads. You know, garbage bags full from the household to the grocery bag filled up in one's car, and they just throw it out their window as if stopping at a dumpster is somehow too much work. So, you know, I say let these people inject themselves into oblivion. There's the solution to your problem. So, and by the way, it's not unreasonable to think that that's exactly what they'll use this for. I mean, after all, we are talking about a country who has a provision in the Affordable Care Act that allows for execution by guillotine. So, moving on. Horrifying UN report details widespread child rape by high-level UN employees. Now, of course, I've been talking about this particular topic for around 5 years, at least on video. And we have these people stationed here in the United States. They have, you know, large vehicle caches, weapons, and so-called peacekeepers here in the United States. And at some point, they're going to be operating on our soil officially, you know, not under darkness or not secretly. They will be very, very prominent in the cities. You know what I say? I say, burn it down. Burn down the UN. Get rid of it. But I don't think fire can melt or destroy that structure. Unless, of course, we use jet fuel. And then magically it will melt the steel beams and cause an implosion. So, a deeply disturbing report has finally been released by the United Nations detailing the rampant sexual exploitation of children by UN employees that is widespread throughout multiple countries. And we have Chicago practically begging for the UN to come in and take control of law enforcement activities there. Big mistake if that happens. And here's some more cultural enrichment for you. Former Dutch MP, what is that MP? I'm not sure. Commits suicide after being gang raped by Muslims who asked her, "Do you respect Allah?" Isn't cultural enrichment just great? Isn't this diversity that's been force-fed to us, forced on us, such a wonderful thing? Just another sad, shocking example of the savagery unleashed in the West. Where are the wailing feminists? If Willie Dilly had not been a member of the Freedom Party, the party of Geert Wilders, and if she had not been raped by Muslims, there would be an international outcry. But there will be little to no notice of this as Europe continues on the path to its own suicide. And Angela Merkel, man, you couldn't ask for a bigger traitor than that cunt. I mean, what happened to you German men? What happened to you British men? To your French men? To the Dutch? What happened to the Viking spirit of Switzerland? They've all turned into nations of weak, cucky little bitches. Otherwise, the men of these countries would have never allowed this to happen. And the same with the United States. Charlottesville. Peaceful Antifa marchers assault news crew while screaming, "Fuck you, snitches." And of course, I talked about the fact they were going to be having a confrontation this week. And apparently they had a small one. Anti-gun protester says you should never shoot home intruders who want to rape or murder you because stopping them with a gun would be wrong. Now, I'm a computer technician. I don't get a lot of business, but I do get some. And one time somebody came. He was from the Middle East somewhere. I'm not sure what country. And he was a Christian. And somehow, and I had my AR-15 sitting on the counter on its bipod. It was standing, actually. And we got into a conversation about guns, and he said that he would never kill another human being, no matter the circumstances. I asked him, well, what if you get a home invader that rape your wife and children right in front of you? I mean, isn't that a justification to kill them? And he said he would never do that. Oh, you Christians, man, you are something else, let me tell you. Yeah. So, gun control activists took to the streets for the march on the NRA recently. The August 4th protest took place in Fairfax, Virginia, just outside of the NRA's headquarters. Their rallying cries included calls to dismantle the Second Amendment and ban fully semi-automatic weapons. Only stupid people talk like that. They're not fully semi-automatic. They're either fully automatic or semi-automatic, not fully semi-automatic. And chants of shame, shame, shame. You know what's really a shame is the extreme stupidity of these statists sucking the ass of government to steal from the rest of the country the weapons people have spent billions of dollars on here in the United States. And they're basically advocating for the theft of private property because they don't like the idea of somebody owning a weapon. And yet, you know, they don't say a whole lot about these anti-gunners anyway. They don't say a whole lot about the police executing people with guns in the streets every fucking day. But I digress. Mueller's star witness, George Nader, a convicted child rapist and child porn addict. Is this the kind of witnesses that the court now considers credible? Robert Mueller's star witness in his Clinton-Obama initiated the quest to find dirt on President Trump turns out to be a convicted pedophile. News of this will not be found on mainstream propaganda outlets who masquerade as news media, but facts are facts. It goes on and on and on. But, which one should I talk about here? This is getting to be 13 minutes here. Is my computer going to cooperate with me? It doesn't seem like it is. Bert. Yep, it's not going to cooperate here. So, here we are, DC Clothesline. Horrifying UN reports or report details widespread child rape by high-level UN employees. A deeply disturbing report has finally been released by the United Nations detailing the rampant sexual exploitation of children by UN employees that is widespread throughout multiple countries. While pieces of the report were released previously, the full report detailing the scope and horrifying nature of the abuse was only just released in July, as disobedient media points out in a scathing report. The publication of a summary version of the report caused a global furor in 2002, eventually leading to some policy changes. However, these efforts have proven woefully insufficient in light of ongoing scandals, including, but not limited to, the recent Oxfam debacle, the Zoe's Ark scandal, allegations of horrific sexual abuse in the Central African Republic by UN forces, and the Laura Silsby incident. All of these cases, and many others, occurred after the partial publication of the UNHCR report, pointing to one unsavory conclusion. Aid work is not a vehicle of charity, but is, in a very real sense, a cover for atrocity. It is a weapon, a blunt instrument of power that is wielded to exploit the most vulnerable populations in crisis around the world. We can now state that sentiment is as fact, not opinion. The report reads like a nightmare and states in part, agency workers from local and international NGOs as well as UN agencies are among the prime sexual exploiters of refugee children, often using the very humanitarian assistance and services intended to benefit refugees as a tool of exploitation. Male national staff were reported to trade humanitarian commodities and services, including medication, oil, bulgur wheat, plastic sheeting, education courses, skills training, school supplies, and so on, in exchange for sex with girls under age 18. The practice appeared particularly pronounced in locations with significant and established aid programs. There was compelling evidence of a chronic and entrenched pattern of this type of abuse in refugee camps in Guinea and Liberia in particular. The number of allegations documented, however, is a critical indicator of the scale of this problem, as altogether 42 agencies and 67 individuals were implicated in this behavior. Security and military forces, including international and regional peacekeepers, national forces, and police units are another significant category of exploiters. UN peacekeepers in Sierra Leone are alleged to be extensively involved in the sexual exploitation of children, with the assessment team recording allegations against UNAMSIL peacekeepers from 9 countries. Details of these allegations, which also require verification, have likewise been submitted to UNHCR. These sex exploiters are men in the community with the money, power, and influence. Agency workers, peacekeepers, regional and national armed forces, teachers, police, businessmen, diamond miners, refugee leaders, and logging company staff. One would think that this 2002 report would have curtailed at least some of the abuse when a portion of it was publicly released at the time. However, that appears not to have happened. As the Free Thought Project reported earlier this year, an outright frightening dossier released by a former senior United Nations official revealed that United Nations employees have carried out over 60,000 rapes in just the last decade. And let me stop right there. That's reported rapes. What's more, the dossier estimates that the organization currently employs at least 3,300 pedophiles. In just 10 years, under the guise of rendering aid, the United Nations has literally been raping and pillaging countries across the world. The problem has gotten so out of hand that it prompted the former UN insider Andrew MacLeod to blow the whistle and hand over the evidence to Britain's Department of International Development Secretary Priti Patel. I'll just leave it at that. According to the exclusive report by The Sun, the dossier reveals that on top of the 3,300 pedophiles working for the organization, thousands more predatory sex abusers specifically target aid charity jobs to get close to vulnerable women and children. According to MacLeod, anyone who's attempted to blow the whistle on the horrifyingly rampant abuse is silenced and fired. Sharing his dossier with The Sun, Professor MacLeod last night warned that the spiraling abuse scandal was on the same scale as the Catholic churches. While the UN reveals that there are 3,300 current employees who are active pedophiles on the UN's payroll, MacLeod estimates the real number to be far higher. And, the UN knows that these people are pedophiles, and yet they keep them on the payroll. Wouldn't you say that makes them just as guilty as the predators committing these crimes against these children? I would argue probably so. Probably all of them should be hung. Or worse. I mean, these people should have the most horrifying, brutal deaths that you can think of. There are tens of thousands of aid workers around the world with pedophile tendencies, but if you wear a UNICEF t-shirt, nobody will ask you what you're up to. You have the impunity to do whatever you want. It is endemic across the aid industry across the world. The system is at fault and should have stopped this years ago. So, I'm not going to do the whole article here, but I'll leave a link in the description box. Child rape crimes are being inadvertently funded in part by United Kingdom taxpayers, explained MacLeod. We are looking at a problem on the scale of the Catholic Church, if not bigger. Yep. So, it's just another example of people who possess some kind of power over a population, abusing it to exploit the children there, to rape them. Anyway, this is one of the reasons why I continue to say, kill the state before the state kills you.